My daughter FaceTimed me shaking. Dad, they're in the house. The call cut off, and I realized the people who should have protected her were the ones who opened the door. My name is Grant Bradford. I'm deployed overseas, and I've spent most of my adult life staying calm under pressure. But the second Olivia's face filled my screen, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Fear. She was 15. Smart, stubborn, and usually too grown to call me for anything. Now she looked like a kid again. Eyes red, hands trembling, trying to whisper without being heard. Dad, please. Stepdad's friends are here. I kept my voice steady, because I knew she needed my calm more than my panic. Olivia, listen to me. Where is your mom? She swallowed hard. She's not here. She's on a weekend trip. He said it was just the guys. But they're drinking. They're loud. And I don't feel safe. A shadow moved behind her. Go to the bathroom, I said. Lock the door. Put something heavy in front of it. Do you hear me? She nodded fast. Then the phone jerked. A man's face appeared, older, glazed eyes, smug smile like this was a joke. Well, look at that, he said. Soldier boy. My stomach dropped. He leaned closer to the camera. Your little girl's not going anywhere tonight. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten him. Because men like that don't fear words. They fear consequences. What's your name? I asked. He laughed. Does it matter? You're not even here. Then the screen went black. And in that moment, something inside me went cold and clear, like a switch flipping. People think the only options are 1. Panic, or 2. Do something illegal. But there's a third option, move faster than the problem. I ran straight to my commanding officer and gave him facts. Only facts. No drama. No anger. No begging. Sir, my daughter is in danger. I need emergency extraction and immediate coordination with stateside agencies. He looked at me for a long second, like he was measuring whether I was still in control. Then he said, give me the address. While the paperwork moved, I made calls I never wanted to make. A friend in federal law enforcement. A contact who could verify names. A calm voice who could confirm exactly where Olivia's stepdad lived. And then the worst part. I had to sit on a plane, staring at a clock, knowing every minute mattered. I wanted to scream, but screaming doesn't save people. Planning does. On the flight, I kept replaying the call in my head. The man's face, the way he spoke. He wasn't afraid. That told me something important. These weren't random strangers. They were men who believed they could do whatever they wanted in that house. Men who believed nobody would stop them. Men who believed the adults around Olivia would protect them. Not her. That kind of confidence usually comes from one thing. Someone inside the home gave them permission. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about strangers. This was about betrayal. When we landed, we didn't do anything cinematic. No doors kicked in for the camera. No speeches. Just a clean, coordinated response. I got one short update before we arrived at the house. Minor located. Safe. Officers with her. My knees nearly gave out when I heard that word. Safe. When I finally saw Olivia, she ran into me so hard I stumbled back. She didn't say much. She just held on like she was afraid if she let go, the world would turn dark again. I pulled her close and whispered, You did everything right. You hear me? You did everything right. Then I looked up, and across the room, I saw her stepdad. And I knew instantly, without him saying a word, that he was more worried about himself than about her. That's when I stopped seeing him as part of the family, and started seeing him as a problem that needed to be handled the right way. Legally. Permanently. Here's what most people don't understand. You don't destroy a manipulator with emotions. You destroy them with evidence. Because evidence doesn't argue. It doesn't get tired. And it doesn't care how charming someone is. The men who were there that night, they were careless. They texted in group chats. They joked. They posted things they thought would disappear. They sent each other updates. And when law enforcement started collecting devices, the story they wanted to tell didn't match the digital trail they left behind. Olivia's stepdad tried to play the victim. I didn't know it would get out of hand. But the messages said otherwise. And Olivia didn't even have to fight him with words. Because the truth was already written. This is the ugly truth. Sometimes the worst wound isn't the night itself. It's realizing that someone who lived in your home, someone who smiled at your mother, who sat at your dinner table, could ignore your fear. Olivia asked me a question in the car, voice low. Dad, if I didn't call you, would anybody have believed me? That question broke something in me. I looked at her and said the only answer I had. I believe you, and I will make sure the world does too. The stepdad thought he could talk his way out. He hired a lawyer fast, tried to make everything complicated, tried to turn it into miscommunication. But here's what he didn't expect. When there's enough evidence, the system stops being slow. It becomes a machine. And once that machine turns toward you, it doesn't stop because you're sorry. It stops when the court says it stops. Within weeks, he wasn't calling Olivia anymore. Not because he suddenly grew morals, because he was being watched, because he was being warned, because he was learning a lesson men like him almost never learn. Your control ends the moment someone stronger shows up with receipts. Then came the hardest conversation, her mother, because Olivia loved her mom, and she also felt abandoned by her. That's a confusing pain for a kid, a pain that makes you blame yourself. So I sat down with my ex-wife and said, "This isn't about your pride. This is about your daughter's safety." She cried. She claimed she didn't know. And maybe she didn't know everything. But she knew enough to ignore warnings. She knew Olivia had been uncomfortable. She knew that house didn't feel safe. And she chose comfort over confrontation. That ends the moment it costs a child peace. Olivia moved in with me. And for the first time in a long time, she slept through the night. A lot of people expect endings like fireworks. They want screaming. They want revenge. But the real ending, the one that actually matters, it's quiet. It's Olivia sitting at the kitchen counter doing homework again. It's her laughing at something on her phone. It's her walking into therapy like she deserves healing. And one night, months later, she said, "Dad, the scariest part wasn't the night." I looked up. She swallowed hard. The scariest part was realizing they thought they could control me, and nobody would stop them. Then she took a breath. But they were wrong. I didn't say anything, because I didn't need to. The proof had already spoken. The boundaries were already built. And her life, her real life, was finally hers again. If you think patience means weakness, you've never met a parent who comes home with evidence.